and welcome to today's sleep story. I'm Lara, and tonight we'll go on a relaxing journey together. A story about a young man called Aurelio and the choice he has to make between his heart and his head. Close your eyes. Let the world around you fade and take a deep, calming breath. Imagine yourself wrapped in a warm, comforting blanket, feeling safe and secure. Focus on your breathing and on the sound of my voice. Aurelio had always been a traveller. Ever since he was a child, his heart yearned for the open road, the mysteries of the mountains, the vastness of the oceans, and the stories of distant lands. He had seen towering castles in Europe, wandered through dense jungles in South America, and slept under the stars in the deserts of Africa. There was something about the thrill of the unknown that kept him moving, never staying in one place for too long. He lived for the unexpected, the sound of foreign languages, the taste of new foods, and the kindness of strangers. Everywhere he went, Aurelio made friends, shared stories, and learnt about cultures different from his own. But despite all the beauty he encountered, there was always a certain emptiness in his heart. Though he loved the world, he sometimes wished for something or someone to anchor him. One day, Aurelio found himself in a small, picturesque town nestled in the hills of southern Italy. The town, named Bella Vista, was known for its stunning views of the surrounding countryside and its vibrant, friendly community. He had heard about it from a fellow traveller and decided to stop by on his way to the coast. As he wandered through the cobblestone streets, he felt an unusual sense of calm. The sun was setting, casting a golden glow over the town. The scent of fresh bread wafted through the air, and there was a small market in the town square where locals displayed their wares and villagers gathered to chat. Aurelio decided to explore the market, drawn by the lively chatter and the colourful displays. As he walked past a stand selling hand-woven scarves, he noticed a young woman standing behind a table filled with beautifully painted ceramics. Her dark hair fell in loose waves around her shoulders, and her eyes sparkled with joy as she spoke to a customer. Curious, Aurelio approached her stand. The ceramics were stunning, each piece a unique blend of colours and patterns. He picked up a small bowl, admiring the intricate design. "Do you like it?" the woman asked in a melodic voice. "It's one of my favourites. I painted it with the colours of the sunset." Aurelio looked up, meeting her gaze. There was something about her that immediately drew him in, a warmth and kindness that he hadn't felt in a long time. "It's beautiful," he said, smiling. "You have a real talent." The woman blushed slightly, a smile spreading across her face. "Thank you. I'm Mia. I make all of these myself. Painting is my passion." Aurelio introduced himself, explaining that he was a traveller, passing through Bella Vista on his way to the coast. As they talked, he felt an instant connection with Mia. She was curious about his travels, asking questions about the places he had seen and the people he had met. In turn, she shared stories about her life in Bella Vista, her love for painting, and her dream of one day travelling the world herself. Before he knew it, the sun had set completely, and the market was beginning to close. Aurelio realised that he had spent hours talking to Mia, completely losing track of time. He found himself reluctant to leave her side. "Would you like to have dinner with me?" Mia asked suddenly, her eyes hopeful. "There's a little restaurant just down the street. They make the best pasta in town." Aurelio hesitated for a moment. He had planned to leave Bella Vista the next morning, but something inside urged him to stay. He nodded, smiling. "I'd love to." Dinner with Mia was magical. They sat outside on a small terrace, the warm evening breeze carrying the scent of fresh basil and rosemary. The restaurant was cozy, with twinkling fairy lights strung above, and the sound of laughter and clinking glasses filling the air. Mia ordered her favourite dishes, insisting that Aurelio try the local specialties. They shared plates of creamy burrata, rich tomato and basil pasta, and tender roasted vegetables. Over the meal, they continued their conversation, laughing and sharing stories late into the night. Aurelio was captivated by Mia's passion for life. She spoke with such enthusiasm and love for her town, her art, and her friends. She had a way of seeing the beauty in everything, finding joy in the simplest of things: a blooming flower, a kind word, a perfectly cooked meal. It was as if she saw the world in a way that Aurelio had never noticed before. As the night grew late, Mia took Aurelio on a walk through the town. They strolled hand in hand, wandering down narrow alleys and up winding staircases, exploring hidden corners and secret gardens. She showed him her favourite spots: an old olive tree that had stood for centuries, a small chapel with beautiful frescoes, and a viewpoint that offered a breathtaking view of the valley below. When they finally returned to the town square, it was nearly midnight. They sat on the edge of a fountain, the cool water trickling beside them, and looked up at the stars. Aurelio felt a deep sense of peace, a feeling he hadn't experienced in a long time. "I've never met anyone like you," Mia said softly, her eyes reflecting the starlight. "You have such a big heart, such a thirst for adventure. It's inspiring." Aurelio smiled, his heart swelling with affection. "And I've never met anyone like you. You make this place feel like home, like there's nowhere else in the world I'd rather be." They sat in silence for a moment, the weight of their words hanging in the air. Aurelio felt a strange mix of emotions: joy, contentment, and a hint of fear. He realized that he was falling in love with Mia, and the thought both thrilled and terrified him. As they parted ways that night, Mia invited him to stay in Bella Vista for a while. "There's so much more for you to see," she said with a smile, "and I would love to show you all of it." Aurelio agreed, promising to meet her again the next day. As he walked back to his hotel, he felt a flutter of excitement in his chest. For the first time in his life, he felt like he had found something, or someone, worth staying for. Days turned into weeks, and Aurelio found himself falling deeper in love with Mia and Bella Vista. Every day was an adventure, a new discovery, a chance to see the world through Mia's eyes. They spent their days exploring the hills, painting by the river, and cooking meals together in Mia's cozy kitchen. At night, they would sit on her rooftop, watching the stars and talking about their dreams. Aurelio had never been happier. He loved the way Mia made him feel, alive, connected, understood. She had a way of bringing out the best in him, of making him see the world in a new light. For the first time, he felt like he could settle down, build a life, and find happiness in one place. But as much as he loved Mia and Bella Vista, there was still a part of him that longed for the open road. He missed the thrill of discovering new places, the excitement of meeting new people, and the joy of experiencing new cultures. He had always been a wanderer, and the thought of giving up his travels weighed heavily on his heart. One evening, as they sat on Mia's rooftop, Aurelio finally voiced his thoughts. "I love you, Mia," he said, his voice filled with emotion. "And I love Bella Vista. but I'm torn. I've always been a traveller, and the thought of staying in one place scares me. I don't know what to do. Mia looked at him, her eyes filling with understanding. I know, she said softly. I've seen it in your eyes. You have a spirit that can't be tamed, a heart that longs for adventure. I would never want to take that away from you. Aurelio felt a pang of sadness. But I don't want to lose you, he said, his voice breaking. I don't want to leave this place, this life we've built together. Mia took his hand, squeezing it gently. You won't lose me, she said firmly. No matter where you go, I'll always be here, in your heart, and I'll always be waiting for you, whenever you're ready to come back. Aurelio looked at her, tears filling his eyes. He knew she was right, but it didn't make the decision any easier. He loved Mia more than anything, but he also knew that he could not ignore the call of the unknown. The next morning, Aurelio woke up early, his mind heavy with the weight of his decision. He had spent the night tossing and turning, his heart torn between his love for Mia and his desire to see the world. He knew that he could not stay in Bella Vista forever, but the thought of leaving Mia behind was almost too much to bear. He decided to take a walk, hoping that the fresh air would clear his mind. As he wandered through the town, he found himself drawn to the small chapel that Mia had shown him on their first night together. It was quiet and peaceful, the soft light of the morning sun streaming through the stained glass windows. Aurelio sat in one of the wooden pews, his head in his hands. He closed his eyes, searching for answers, for some sign of what he should do. He thought about all of the places he had been, all of the people he had met, and all of the experiences he had had. He thought about Mia, about her smile, her laugh, and the way she made him feel. As he sat there, lost in thought, he heard a soft voice behind him. Aurelio. He turned to see Mia standing in the doorway, her eyes filled with concern. I was looking for you, she said, walking over to him. Are you okay? Aurelio nodded, trying to smile. I just needed some time to think, he said. I'm sorry if I worried you. Mia sat down beside him, taking his hand in hers. It's okay, she said gently. I understand. This isn't an easy decision for you. Aurelio looked at her, his heart aching. I don't want to leave you, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. But but I also don't want to give up on my dreams. Mia nodded, her eyes filled with tears. I know, she said softly, and I don't want you to. I want you to follow your heart, to see the world, and to live the life you've always dreamed of. And I'll be here, waiting for you, no matter how long it takes. Aurelio felt a lump in his throat, his eyes burning with tears. He knew that Mia was right, but it didn't make the decision any easier. He loved her more than anything, but he also knew that he couldn't ignore the call of the unknown. I'll miss you, he said, his voice breaking. I'll miss you every day. Mia smiled, her eyes shining with tears. And I'll miss you, she said softly, but I know that you'll come back to me when you're ready, and I'll be here, waiting with open arms. Aurelio felt a wave of emotion wash over him, his heart aching with love and longing. He knew that he had to leave, but he also knew that he would always carry a piece of Mia with him, no matter where he went. Aurelio spent the rest of the day with Mia, savouring every moment, every laugh, every touch. They wandered through the hills, picking wildflowers and talking about their dreams. They shared a picnic by the river, dipping their toes in the cool water and watching the clouds drift by. And as the sun began to set, they returned to Mia's house, sitting on her rooftop one last time. They didn't say much, just held each other close, feeling the warmth of their love and the sadness of their impending goodbye. As the stars began to twinkle in the sky, Aurelio turned to Mia, his eyes filled with tears. I'll come back to you, he said, his voice filled with emotion. I promise. Mia nodded, her eyes shining with tears. I know, she said softly. I'll be here. They sat in silence for a moment, the weight of their farewell hanging in the air. Then, without a word, Aurelio leaned in, capturing Mia's lips in a tender kiss. It was a kiss filled with love, with longing, and with the promise of a future together. When they finally pulled away, Aurelio took a deep breath, his heart heavy with sadness and hope. He stood up, taking one last look at the town he had come to love, at the woman who had captured his heart. Goodbye, Mia, he said softly. I'll see you again someday. Mia nodded, her eyes filled with tears. Goodbye, Aurelio, she whispered. I'll be here waiting. With a final lingering look, Aurelio turned and walked away, his heart aching with every step. He didn't know where the road would take him, or what the future held. But he knew one thing for certain. He would always carry a piece of Bella Vista and Mia with him, no matter where he went. As he walked down the winding streets of Bella Vista, the stars shining above him, Aurelio felt a sense of peace wash over him. He knew that he had made the right choice, that he was following his heart, and that one day he would find his way back to the love of his life. And so, with a heart full of love and a spirit filled with adventure, Aurelio set off on the open road once more, ready to see the world, to live his dreams, and to find his way back to the place he now called home.